Back again for Cage Warriors this weekend. We're in Dublin, Ireland. There's some good fights on the card. It's a very large card though, so I'm going to give you my quick picks. And then if you stick around, I'll give you what bet I'm putting on at the end. So starting with the first fight. We've got Jamie Abbott Bissett versus Charlie Falco. Now, Charlie Falco, I know he's been fighting a lot at strawweight. He's got a big experience advantage in the pro ranks, but Bissett's had quite a few amateur fights as well. A bit of a mixed record, but so's Falco as well. I think it'd be a pretty evenly matched fight maybe, but I feel like Jimmy Bissett is a bit younger, he's up and coming, and he's getting better with age. And Falco's been around a long time, but like I was saying, a lot of those fights at strawweight, which there's not a very strong level of fighters because it's quite rare, especially in England. And I think he might be a black belt as well, Falco though. So like I say, it's a tough one to predict, but I feel like Bissett had a good showing in his last fight on Cage Warriors in his debut at pro, and I feel like he's getting better, and the pro ranks probably suit him a bit more. Might have a bit of size on Falco, and yeah, I'll stick with Bissett on that one. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it on though. Next fight, you've got Kieran Brady versus Giovanni Fernandez. One more thing I will say about this card as well, the odds are wide on a lot of these fights, so some of them I'll give you my thought on it, but I'm not going to put it on a lot of them because a lot of them are like 1 to 10 and stuff like that. But there's also some underdog opportunities. I'm not saying they're going to win, but some good value on some fighters like Giovanni Fernandez. His last fight on Cage Warriors, it was a dog fight, wasn't it, against Jimmy Quinn, and I think he shocked a lot of people, and he managed to get the finish in the second after being hurt early in the fight. He showed that he's got heart, a lot of heart, and he's coming up against Kieran Brady. He's 3-0, but it's not like he's fought like a super competition yet. And Giovanni Fernandez, he's had 2 losses, but against good guys as well. If you look at his record and topology, the guys who he's lost to are doing really well, and he's showed a lot of heart in his Cage Warriors debut. You would lean to Kieran Brady, but I'm not going to put it on because the odds are so wide, and I think Giovanni Fernandez is like a 3-1 underdog or something. The next fight, you've got Matthew Elliott versus Kenny Mukawana, Nana, whatever he's called. Both good fighters. Matthew Elliott, he's had some good wins and a couple of tough losses against really good competition. Look, George Staines, and then a split decision to Ryan Shelley. No shame in those losses, especially not George Staines. I think he's a real big prospect coming from the UK. I see him in the UFC in the future for sure. And he's had a lot of other wins. Went 4-0 in his amateur career. Maybe he had other fights what are not showing up here, but he's beat some good guys at pro as well, like Scott Pedersen. I think this Mitchell De Silva's doing alright. And then had 2 wins on Cage Warriors. Well, 3 wins on Cage Warriors. Sorry, 2 wins on Cage Warriors, and he lost against Shelley on Cage Warriors. But yeah, I think he's going to be good in the Elliott. And he's coming up against Kenny Mock Ornawana. It's a hard name to pronounce that, isn't it? And he's coming off a loss to Ibrahim Ibrahimov, who used to train at Top Team Manchester. I'm not sure if he's training there anymore, but really good prospect. And he lost to Josh O'Connor on Bellator before that, who's also another prospect as well. So it's a tough fight. I am leaning Elliott on this one, and I'm unsure if I'll put it on because this is one of the fights where the odds are pretty close and it's worth having a bet on. But it's a very close fight that. I am leaning towards Matthew Elliott, but it wouldn't surprise me if Mokawana gets the win as well. Elliott's not fought for a year, and Kenny's fought in January, so that's another thing to bear in mind. The activity. He's been out, had a recent run at Kenny, so it might be a little more accustomed to being in there. Next fight, you got Scott Harvey versus Leon Arms. This is a fight where I'm looking to bet on. Leon Arms looking like a really good prospect. Scott Harvey is as well though, 4-0. But what I've seen of Arms, I really like him. I think he's going to be good. Fight Academy though, this guy, that's probably the top gym in Ireland at the minute, isn't it? The Fight Academy gym with Paul Hughes. And he's got some good wins, 4-0 in his pro. He beat that Enrico Di Gangi, and he beat who did he beat now? Who just fought for the belt? Giordano. So he had some good wins. Like Enrico Di Gangi had a mixed amateur career, but he fought some good guys there. Leon Arms, though, I can't look past what I've seen of him. He's looking like a hot prospect. One of the better guys coming out of this fight academy and what Cage Warriors are doing in America. And before that, he's training with the Hardwick brothers and stuff like that. I think he's a really good prospect. So I'm going to side with Leon Arms in this fight. Moving on to the next fight, you've got Alexander O'Sullivan versus Dare Torman. Now, one of those where the odds are really wide in favour of Alexander. You probably should get the win, but we're not going to look into it too much because it's pointless betting on it. Same with the Imad Darcy versus Sanchez fight, and it's too unpredictable. Next fight, you got Joshua Nwadi versus Conor McCarthy. Conor McCarthy should win, but Joshua Nwadi 6-5. I think his record doesn't do him justice. I think he is better than a 6-5 record. He's had most of his fights on Cage Warriors against tough guys, so it's another one where potentially an upset. I feel like McCarthy should win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Joshua Nwadi pulls it out. So I'm not betting on this fight, but if you wanted a punt on an upset win for Joshua Nwadi, I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility. Next fight, Jason Blur versus Diego Vizanze. Same thing. Blur's a massive favourite. Should get the win there, but we're not putting it on. Keith Kyo versus Joe Doyle. Keith Kyo, massive favourite. Not putting it on. Adam Darby should get the win. Massive favourite. See, we're skimming through these ones because what's the point looking into it? We're not going to be putting on when it's like 1-9 or something daft like that. That's what they are. Next fight, Solomon Simon versus Christian Iorga. Another one was potentially an upset. Solomon Simon's a massive favourite. We're not going to put him on. And Christian Iorga, he's had some good wins and some good amateur wins as well. And he's pretty experienced as a pro. Last loss against George Hardwick, that was in the title fight. Only lost by decision. I think he's done well to get through that fight because George Hardwick usually finds a finish. And yeah, it looks like a tough guy. Had some good wins at amateur in the IMAFs. It's going to be a tough fight for Solomon Simon. I think he should win, but I wouldn't be mad at it if you took a punt there on Iorga to get an upset. I'll probably leave that fight off anyway, but just another one potentially for you. Next fight, Maximus Lally versus Alexis Sermantidis. I reckon I got that one near enough. Lally should win, but there's another one where there's potentially an upset. I don't think the odds are that wide compared to the others in this one. I think it's a little bit closer because I was looking at putting Lally on my accumulator, but I don't think it's worth the risk because this guy could definitely cause the upset. He's only had a loss to Curtis Campbell, who's on fire, one of the top prospects coming out of the UK at the minute. So it's hard to tell, isn't it? And if you watch the last Cage Warriors, we were only let down on 2 fights. One of them was against a Greek guy who managed to get a split decision. I don't think he should have got the decision, but I understand why he did because that's the way the judges are scoring it these days. And then the other fight, what let us down, it was a cut, and the guy was potentially winning our guy until the cut stopped it. So yeah, we did alright in the last Cage Warriors. Probably should have mentioned that at the beginning, but anyway, next fight. So yeah, I probably lean Maximus Lally, but I'm probably gonna leave it off because it's just a bit unpredictable, and you could have an underdog pick on Alexis. Next fight, Ferreira versus Ger Harris. Ger Harris 5-2. I think his talk gets him for, like, if he didn't have as much of a personality, he probably wouldn't be as touted as a prospect. He's a decent fighter, but he lost against this guy who's had a losing record. He's 3-4, so that's a bit worrying. And then a split decision loss against Joanny Scott. Joanny Scott's alright. I remember that fight. I think I didn't think it was a split decision, but yeah, he's alright, but he's not like superstar. I think his personality carries him a little bit, and he's coming up against this Brazilian guy who's 8-2, and he's just beat a guy who's 15-7. So he's fighting experienced guys I think he was scheduled to fight Lima as well. What was he called? Andre Lima, who's doing really good in the UFC. That fight didn't come to fruition, but he's fighting some experienced guys and some not so experienced guys and getting wins. It's hard to tell with the Brazilians, isn't it? But I wouldn't be surprised if he come out and gets the win here, because he doesn't look like a walkover compared to some of the Brazilians you get coming over fighting in Cage Warriors. So I could definitely see Ferreira getting the upset there, and Gerald Harris is the favourite once again. Next fight, Paddy McCrory versus Hassan Adanabadi. I should try to pronounce these names before I come on, but well. Paddy McCrory should get the win, but the odds are massively in his favour, so not looking at it. We are going to bet on the co-main and the main though. So the co-main, we got James Webb versus John Allen. James Webb, 11-5. His last fight was against Clampy for the title. Clampy could have won that fight. They were both gassed, and there was ebbs and flows in it. James Webb was getting dominated, and he managed to swing the momentum, and it happened a couple of times, and you thought, oh, Clampy's going to come back, and I think he had him nearly finished at one point, and then gassed himself out, and James Webb come back and got the win, which is surprising because I've seen James Webb he's a good fighter, but I've seen him give up on himself in the past before, and he's had trouble with the cardio. He looks in better shape at 205, potentially on gear, I reckon. But yeah, I've seen him give up a couple too many times, and John Allen, he's had a bit of a mixed record, a lot of wins against guys with losing records and stuff like that, but then he beat some good guys as well. Managed to get in the UFC at one point. Probably not the strongest Brazilian guy to ever get in the UFC, but he still got there, didn't he? And I could see him getting the win against James Webb. I think title fight, James Webb gassed in his last fight against Clampy, but Clampy just gassed a little bit more. I think I'll side with John Allen as a slight underdog. I think he's in this fight. Yeah, and then the main event, you got James Sheehan versus Justin Burleson. Both really talented fighters. Justin Burleson, he's been in some wars, hasn't he? Really talented fighter. Stellar amateur career he had as well. But I've seen him hurt a few too many times. He does manage to come back, and he's got heart, and he fights through, and he pulls out finishes on some of these guys, but I just can't see him doing it to James Sheehan. If he does, fair play to him. Like, well done. But I think James Sheehan, he might catch him. He might tag him in the stand-up, and I just feel like he's a little more durable, and if it goes into late rounds, he might have a little bit more gas in the tank to push it. And I've not seen James Sheehan hurt before, but I've seen Justin Burleson hurt a few times. Doesn't take anything away from him. He's a great fighter, and he's been unlucky, like had some bad breaks, like one on the Contender Series and stuff like that. He's definitely the level of the UFC, and so is James Sheehan though. So another tough fight for Burleson. It'll be a great scrap anyway. So I'm looking forward to watching it. Probably like the best main event Cage Warriors has had in a while, because usually you have like massive favourites in the main events on Cage Warriors, but that's probably the most even title fight I've seen on Cage Warriors in a long time. So yeah, they're my quick picks. Like I say, I'm not going into super detail on all the fights, because there's just too many of them to do too much tape, and the odds are too wide on a lot of them anyway. So let's have a quick look at the odds. So Jamie Abbott Bissett to beat Falco. Falco could cause an upset though. It's not out of the realms of possibility. I just think Bissett's got the higher ceiling, so we're gonna take a risk there. Then we got Leon Arms to beat Scott Harvey. Both good prospects. We have to take these risks because it's the only way we're gonna get any decent return. We'll go with Leon Arms. I'm just slightly a bit more impressed with what I've seen of him. Probably seen a little bit more of him than Scott Harvey as well, so I might be a bit biased. And then co-main, you got John Allen, and then main event we're going with James Sheehan. And the tenner on that will get us like 97 quid back. Yeah. And we're just keeping it, we're not going too risky with it, because if I wanted to be risky with it, I'd throw a few underdogs on the accumulator as well. But I might do that separately, like I was saying. Let's have a little quick look at the underdogs who I think could potentially win again. So, On Wardy, he's 5-1. I'm not saying he's gonna win, but I could definitely see him winning in some universe. And then you've got Matthew Elliott as well. We could have put that on the main accumulator if you want to boost your odds, but just trying to keep it a little risk free. Then you've got Gur Harris versus Marcus Ferreira. Not as big of a favourite. 7-5 underdog to Marcus Ferreira, but I could definitely see the upset there. Alexis, he's 2-1, the underdog. You could see him getting the upset. And then Christian Ioga, 3-1. He could potentially get an upset as well. I'm not saying they're likely, but I don't think the odds are justified on some of them fights. So have a little punt if you want to. Let us know what you're putting on. What's your thoughts behind it? I might do a stream again tomorrow if I'm not doing anything. We did last week, and it was pretty good. So maybe I'll do a stream again tomorrow. It's a big card though, and it gets tiring doing them streams. So I'll see if anyone fancies it. Let us know if you want me to stream it tomorrow, and I will do. But yeah, good luck, and I'll see you next time.